Hey everyone, it's Drayton from Scale Trains. Really exciting news. The latest run of Rivet Counter in scale GE-9 locomotives are in stock now at scaletrains.com. And we are excited to share all the railroad, road number, and era-specific details of each road name. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. All right, so in this run we have a variety of new road names and paint schemes, a lot of cool paint scheme variations that we've never done before, including in HO scale. Some of these paint schemes are exclusive to N scale, and one of them that really stands out to me is the BNSF 1018. It's in the Heritage 1 paint scheme, and it's really cool because it actually has primer painted doors. You know, General Electric locomotives sometimes are known for blown turbochargers, at least back in the 80s and 90s. And unfortunately for the prototype, it was one of those victims. And BNSF brought it in, shopped it, and they didn't have any fresh paint on hand, apparently. So they used primer, and that's what they used for the engine cab doors. Now, on the engineer's side, multiple doors, almost the entire engine cab has primer on it. But on the conductor's side, there's only 2 engine cab doors that are painted in primer, which is pretty cool. We also have a unique road number 1050. It features the non-standard yellow BNSF lettering on the engine cab doors, which is pretty cool. And then you've got the standard BNSF Heritage 1 paint scheme that we all know and love. You know, personally, I think it's the best paint scheme that BNSF ever had. It was really sad when the Santa Fe and the Burlington Northern paint schemes and branding went away, but I really think that they got it right after experimenting with a lot of different paint schemes in the mid-90s. They really hit the nail on the head with the Heritage 1 scheme, and quite frankly, I wish they'd bring it back. So BNSF, you should definitely consider that. I absolutely love that paint scheme. So I know many other rail fans do as well. But if you're a BNSF modeler, you've got to have Heritage 1, and you've also got to have the swoosh paint scheme and also the Heritage 2 paint scheme, which those versions will come at a later date. Moving along, we have Union Pacific. So in a previous run, we had the more modern Union Pacific road numbers with the yellow sill stripe. These versions are for 90s and 2000s modelers. You know, one of the things that I learned from a coworker who is a UP modeler, I'm not, I'm just gonna throw that out there, is that the Union Pacific red sill stripe was actually reflective. It was Scotch-Lite. And when the FRA came along and adopted the 224 rule for the reflective striping, they said it had to be either yellow or white. So unfortunately, Union Pacific, which already had reflective sill stripes, had to go in and replace all of the red with yellow. And actually some of the locomotives that have yellow sill stripes, if you look really, really closely, you can actually see a tiny hairline of red. And some of our models actually have that. But for you 90s and 2000s guys, we've got multiple road numbers, including one road number that has a plaque on the side. What's kind of cool about the UPs is that they have nose-mounted number boards, a lot like the Chicago and Northwestern. So you've got nose-mounted number boards on these road names, which I've always found cool. For some reason, I really like the nose-mounted as opposed to the high-mounted. And it's probably because the railroads that I spend most time around, like Norfolk Southern, have the high-mounted number boards. So there is variety here for you UP guys, so you can mix and match your consists. We've also done these road numbers in HO scale as well. Moving along, of course, you've got the Chicago and Northwestern. What's cool about the CNNW is that we're offering the Operation Lifesaver scheme and the standard scheme. You've got your pilot-mounted ditch lights as opposed to deck-mounted that you would see on other railroads like BNSF, Norfolk Southern, and CN. A lot of these units were patched and eventually ended up getting repainted. So, you know, if you're a UP guy, honestly, both of these units could go together in a consist, especially if you were a mid-90s modeler. Moving along to my personal favorite Class 1 railroad, Norfolk Southern. So a few years ago, we acquired Fox Valley Models, and with the acquisition, we also got Matt Godinsky, who really pioneered a lot of amazing advancements in in-scale, and he's also an amazing modeler. He's a huge Norfolk Southern fan, and which makes me happy because I'm an NS guy. Matt's the reason why we have these really cool paint scheme variations. This primer gray unit in particular, Norfolk Southern was really power hungry in the early 2000s, and this was among one of the last Dash 9 orders that Norfolk Southern got before the GEVO series came onto the market in 2004. And so they needed this power like yesterday, and they just told GE, we'll take it in primer, just subletter it for NS, put the road number on there, we'll repaint it ourselves at a later date. So for a few years, this particular road number ran around in primer gray, which is cool. As far as I know, and I could be wrong, that's never been done before in N-scale, maybe not ever done before in HO scale. So pretty cool. Great to have an NS guy in our product development team. Then we've got, of course, the standard Norfolk Southern thoroughbred paint scheme. Norfolk Southern modelers, of course, for years have wanted locomotives with front and rear ditch lights, just like the prototype. And really, it wasn't until recently that was something that you could get in N-scale. And, you know, for NS guys, you've got your flashing front and rear ditch lights when using DCC, when the horn is blown. The primer gray unit, same thing, also has that feature. And then going to the Canadian National, so one thing that kind of strikes me right off the bat about Canadian National, and we'll show it in the photography, the Norfolk Southern models have the sand filler hatch below the headlight, the vertical headlight on the long hood. The Canadian National version does not. They actually have a sand filler hatch right up above the radiator wings, and it's kind of cool. That just goes to show you the dedication to making sure you get those railroad road number and era specific details correct. And I always liked Canadian National for the fact that they put the big CN noodle on the front and rear of their locomotives. Originally being from Michigan, Canadian National has quite a bit of track in the Upper Peninsula, former Sioux Line track that they actually got from the Wisconsin Central purchase. And they would often run a single Dash 9, maybe an SD70, long hood forward because there's really nowhere to turn the power around in the Upper Peninsula. So Canadian National would put a large logo on the long hood, so there was no doubt which railroad owned that locomotive. And of course, they've got rear ditch lights so that they could proceed at track speed. And that's just one neat feature about the Canadian National that I really like. Also, you know, Canadian National has the signature teardrop cab windows, which is the only road name in this run that has that feature. I believe they're the only Class 1 railroad that chose to have their Dash 9s with that feature, other than maybe BC Rail. I think BC Rail also opted to have the teardrop windows. But with Canadian National, there's two paint scheme variations. The 2635 actually has a special Eco logo on the side of it, on the side of the cab. So that's kind of cool. I believe the prototype still has that logo and is still running around in 2024 just like that. So pretty cool. There's so much variety here, multiple road numbers to choose from so you can mix and match your consists. These Dash 9s are a must-have, and let me tell you, not only do they look great, they sound incredible thanks to our friends at ESU LokSound. So make sure you click the link in the video description to order yours today. These models are in stock now. They're probably not going to last long. We've really tightened up our pre-order numbers. You know, following COVID and with inflation and everything, we've noticed folks haven't been pre-ordering as many locomotives, and so we don't have overstock inventory. We've really tightened our numbers up. So that means if you want one of these, you better act now, because odds are in a few weeks we're not going to have any left in the warehouse. So make sure you click that link. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and if you haven't done it, make sure you're subscribed. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our email newsletter, it's a weekly newsletter, make sure you do that at scaletrains.com. At the bottom of the homepage, enter your email address, and you will be the first to know about ETAs, train shows, product announcements, you name it. This video is actually going out about a week after we filled in all of our newsletter subscribers about the Dash 9. So if you want to be the first to know, the newsletter is the best place to do it. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you following us here on YouTube. I'll see you next time for the next Scale Trains Rivet Counter Spotlight.